Okay, good morning, everyone. Welcome to our second case study on energy drinks in 2023. Before we start, I'm going to award the bucks. Going to award the bucks for the name. News. Okay, so Team F, 8 UP. Thanks, UP. And Team H, found a lot of mistakes in my video. 6 UP. So this is how our session is going to go. We're going to start with a petal analysis, and then we're going to devote most of our time with 5 courses. This is going to be very important for your midterm exam coming up, as well as the project you're doing. And then we're going to do taking up time, drivers of change, conceptual factors, and recommendations. Let us first begin with personal. So once again, I'm totally honest when I say that I don't know who you are, so you should tell me your name, and then you should answer. Okay, who wants to start? One. Go ahead.
In order for economic factors, alternative beverages worldwide dollar sales projected to reach 284 billion by 2026.
To reach 284 billion by 2026. Of which, how much is 30? Because this one includes Gatorade.
Energy drinks is estimated at 16.1 billion.
Okay, wants to continue? Anyone else? Yes.
Economics, sir. Alternative beverages carry premium prices and high profit margins to make them profitable and chance to establish alternative beverages carry premium prices and
Premium. How premium is the price?
50 to 75% higher than
50 to 70% higher than some. What else? Yes.
Social cultural
Hey.
agadian increasing demand in low sugar and high nutrient beverages.
Increasing demand for
Low sugar
low
and
sugar,
high
high
nutrient
nutrients foods. Right. Yes.
Social-cultural alternative beverages are popular with customers seeking products that benefit them.
Health conscious, which is very much related to what. Yes.
Some place technological innovations which companies innovate with leading ingredient microbes, packaging,
So we have pickles, fruit, and powdered. Yes.
social culture
Hey, please.
changes in lifestyle and demographic situations.
So we have changing lifestyles and influences, such as Asians. Now, what do you think? Sure, the case is right, but what do you think are these changing lifestyles in Asia Pacific, which would make people more willing to consume these kinds of What would that make you drink? Drinks?
Membership membership
Okay, so yes, it's possible that the call centers, the radio ships will require us to us in the Philippines, I mean, to use these. Okay, but I would actually say this more about the rat race in Asia Pacific. Have you heard of China? They have this unofficial work policy called 996. 996. You work from 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. 6 days a week. Minimum. Right that life. Yeah, and then the government is also very concerned why people are not making babies. No baby, right? There are many countries having that kind of work culture. China, and then number one is South Korea, and then number two is Japan. In fact, I think there are cases where people die of overwork, and then they get reincarnated. But what I mean to say is that people are working long hours in Asia Pacific, and therefore they need energy. Is this, how about your generation? Do you think you guys like this? Or would you go with the Chinese and then they're going to do lying black? Have you heard of lying black? Lying black? Yes. They basically said, we don't want 996, so we're just going to lie that and not do anything. Even if the government cannot really punish them for not working, right? Well, you can, but if you put them in prison, then you have to feed them, take care of them. So that's a big problem right now in China. And the youth are rebelling against 996. It's bad for the country. But maybe it's good for work life balance. So, anyone else? Yes.
for technological factors. For technological factors, we have digital marketing, such as digital advertising, celebrity endorsements, and sponsorship.
So simplified by what Red Bull do, right? Yes, anyone else? Yes, 1, 2. Yes.
Legal,
Okay, legal.
distribution limitations or distribution.
Where does it say?
It's based on the regional brands having limited reach.
Yeah, but that doesn't mean that there is law that made it. You're gonna say legal. You need to cite law, right? So political and legal is very similar. How would you distinguish the two? If the government is thinking or has an opinion about something, right? Is planning to do something, that is political. But if there is an actual law, safety law like that, then it becomes legal. But until there is a law, that's under political, right? So I don't think that there's any law here that says the regional other sellers have yes, they have limited distribution in certain countries, but it's not because of law. Right? Anyone else? You get one, two, babies.
Algorithms are economic signs of slowdown of an emerging in the beverage industry.
So slow down. Sorry about the back. That's it. Sorry. Okay, slow down. energy drinks from 2020 to 2023. It's 0.8%. Okay. Yes.
Aguilera's
Aguilera.
for legal term, the health risk associated with high caffeinated beverages.
Okay, there is a health risk, but is there?
For legal,
Remember, if you want to put it under legal, you must quote a law. Is there a no? But there are concerns. So political. So let's put it under political. So what do you want to say here?
health risk,
What are these health risks?
insomnia and arthritis.
Do you know what these two words mean?
Insomnia.
And so we have to
In some ways, you cannot sleep. I'm sure you have experienced it as students, right? Probably the night before you're sleeping. But you know what's really so your heart pumps. You might not feel it pumping, but it pumps. There are times when you might feel it pumping, like you're talking to your friend. That's when you can feel it pumping. Or you have you just ran, very hard. You have exercised a lot, so you can feel your heart. So your heart pumps regularly. Arrhythmia means the rhythm is not rhythmic. That A means that it's not. Arrhythmia means it's not rhythmic. So your heart doesn't pump regularly, meaning it would skip a beat. So yes, you would feel it as palpitations. Have you guys ever felt
Yeah.
heart rhythmic? When did that happen?
Yeah, only palpitations.
Yeah, what?
Too much caffeine.
Too much caffeine. So you actually drank a lot of energy drinks.
I'm not coffee.
Coffee, too much coffee. Usually too much coffee is insomnia, but it just does good man. So that's not a good idea to have your heart palpitating. Because, you can't need your heart to beat regularly so that the blood is sent. Right. So, anyone else? Anyone wants to add something? Yes, go on.
So for
I didn't get the name. Revani.
ecological factors, there is the need for efficient distribution system.
So, need for efficient distribution. Okay? Meaning you have high-tech logistics, right? So, for social cultural, what can you tell me about how customers feel? Like, where do they buy these products?
Energy drinks are usually for immediate consumption, so convenience store attribute the
Convenience stores contribute majority of sales, right? About 60-something, 65.5%. So product is immediately consumed. What was your name again?
Minus.
Do we have anything with regards to ecological or environmental? So I want you to look at example products, which is there. Do you see anything here that might be harmful to the environment? Or plastic bomb?
For ecological
Okay, what about that?
harmful. could contribute
So what are examples of this marketing?
cans and bottles.
Yes, aluminum cans, bottles, and of course you have the shrink wrap, cardboard boxes, and the main piece.
Alvarez and hydration.
Okay, so essentially we have covered almost everything. So what I have here in my notes is, yes, under political you have concerns about the health and safety risk, right? It's not yet a law. Maybe there will be a law later, and once there is a law, we'll put that under legal. Right now it's just a concern. And then we have economic. The was stated that the alternative market is 284 billion, and then energy drinks is going to be around 16.1 billion, which is still a small segment of the overall market. But I will say that there is premium pricing here, and then, however, there is a slowdown. But what was left unsaid is that although there's a current slowdown, we are expecting of 2.9% through 2027. So although it is slow now, we are expecting future growth. And then there's one more thing about the industry, is that it is highly concentrated. Now, I want you to think back to this. When we talk of market structure, what are the choices that we have in terms of the number of sellers in the market? Think back to your econ. Econ 101, Econ 102. I think it's more of Econ 102. Microeconomics. What is a market with one seller? Monopoly, two or more, let's say 2 to 5. Oligopoly, and then what happens if you have many sellers? Perfect competition, but there can be a situation where you have many sellers, but each of them specializes. And because of their niche, this is what we call monopolistic competition. Do you remember all that theory? Yes. Now, does the government like there to be a monopoly? Depending on what.
On their economic contributions.
What do you mean?
Their revenues.
What do you mean revenue streams?
In their tax contribution.
So if the company pays tax, they will monopoly. Is what they think.
Depends on the street type. Say for example, Sir Becco, if there's too many competitions of electric or utility companies, it's hard to
Very
get
good name.
I would say.
So what you're talking about is what we call a natural monopoly, where it is more efficient to only have one seller. Right? So example is Becco for electricity and MCWD for water. It's more efficient for us to only have one provider of electricity and one provider of water. Now, of course, the government protects its customers by giving them strict regulation. MCWD cannot just raise prices immediately. Right? Becco can. It's a long process. They can raise price, but not easily. They have to go through a lot of hearings. So the government generally does not want to have concentrated industry capital. Okay? Because the tendency is that the monopolists can then raise prices to the max, and that is bad for the customers. Given that, how does economics measure concentration? So that's the theory. The theory is one seller bad, many seller good because competition. But how do we measure how concentrated the industry? We do it through a measurement called the Hirschman Percentile Index, HHI. How do you compute that? You get market share of every company, and then you square it, and then you sum it up. What's the maximum that you gain? maximum HHI is 10,000. Why? 100 right, is the maximum market share of a monopolist. Raise the bar to the 10,000. The minimum is 0. At which point is it concentrated? The answer is the USDOJ considers 2,500 M or more as concentrated. Meaning, if your industry has an HHI of 2,000 or more, and then one of the players wants to acquire the other, there might be a market challenge. I say the word might because different administration have different rights. Who is currently the administration in power? Democrat or Republican? No Trump's Republican. The Republicans are in power. So the Republicans are very business friendly. As a general rule, Republican is good for business. Democrat is good for people. Okay, that's the general. So I'm sure you have seen what Elon Musk is doing. He has the Doge, Department of Government Efficiency, and then he's firing people all over the government. Why? They're trying to save money. Why are they trying to save money? Because they want to give a big tax cut to the corporation. Right? They want to transfer money from the people to the company. Because, as I told you, the Republicans are more friendly to business than they are to people. They care more for rich people. Well, might not be fair, but that is the general perception, is that they care more for business than they care for people. This is important because you guys are studying, most of you, US government. That will be a factor in your analysis of the overall business environment. So going back, what is the HHI of this particular industry? Do you think we have data to beat? You need the market share of everything. Do we have this in an exhibit? Check the exhibit. So it's the square, not the square root, but the square market share. And then you sum it up. Who's a man? 2031. I actually computed it as 279. So is this higher than 25? So this is actually a high one. Meaning this industry is highly concentrated and can be considered to be oligopoly. In fact, the market leader is Red Bull, followed by Monster. Now, for social cultural, the two things that stand out is that number one, the customers are starting to be health conscious because they are now looking for low sugar, high vitamin drinks, as mentioned by Graviano. And as mentioned by Nolo, the product is purchased for immediate consumption. Fortuna also mentions that there's changing lifestyle demographics. Currently, the largest customer is North America, followed by Europe, and then Asia Pacific. Although it should be noted that Asia Pacific will be growing by how much? 5.1% compared to 2.9%, right? Meaning it's almost double the growth. Meaning that's where the future money is going to be. Now, other technological, we have all of the technology here, which is the differentiation is achieved through unique ingredients such as ribose, of which are improved, guarana, beans. And then your product innovation, of course, is an important feature because you need to compete based on your innovation because are the companies here fighting for price? They are trying to kill each other. The answer is no. There's no price competition here. There's just a competition based on your differentiation. As for the law, currently I don't think the case states there might actually be laws, but from what we saw in the case, there's actually none. This is not to say that there is no law, right? Probably there is, but the case did not mention. So since we are sticking to the case, there is nothing here for legal. Under ecological, the only thing here is there a heavy reliance on aluminum cans, plastic bottles, and cardboard packaging. So we are now ready to proceed to fight versus masks. But before that, I think it would be instructive if we were to have a taste test of how many of you have already tried ingredients or are regular users. Coffee is included by the way. Coffee. Because coffee has caffeine. Even tea. Because tea has caffeine. And caffeine is what we call a stimulant. Right? It's not a legal stimulant like methamphetamine or what we call here shampoo. But it is still a stimulant. So here's what I want you to do. I have here sippy cups. So this sippy cup is 30 milliliters. Okay? That should be a safe amount dose for someone your age and your health condition. But if you have a weak heart or you have hypertension, you should avoid drinking caffeine. Right? So first, let's start with Red Bull. One group can have one bottle. So please come here and do a taste test of Red Bull. Yeah, let's do a taste test first of Red Bull. So what group can have one bottle? And take the only one.
Jesus.
Ano lang kinuha?
That's not carbonated, but please do not do that with the monster. Okay, how does it taste like? Medicine, meaning bitter. So you have not drank Red Bull in okay. So I want you also to look at the bottle. What do you know? Did they tell you about vitamins here?
Yes.
Meaning they're trying to appeal, because remember our past analysis, we have health conscious consumers. Are they trying to appeal to these people? Yes. So I want you also to look at the, this is too small for me, my eyes are not good. look at the nutritional information. How many carbohydrates is there? So if you drink one of this, what percent of your recommended daily allowance are you consuming? 9%, meaning that's already 1/10. If you drink 10 of this, okay, that's all the carbs that you can eat without getting fat. So if you drink like 10 of this, that's already your daily limit. You can no longer eat rice. So how many calories does this thing have? Is this 110? Yeah. How long do you think you have to exercise to get rid of 110 calories? Can you do a Google search? How long to burn? You need to provide your weight, I think. So if you drank one of this, you need to exercise for 1 hour, right? 30 minutes? It depends on how heavy you are. If you Google how many minutes? 30 minutes. So you need to exercise for 30 minutes to basically run out all the calories you get from this bottle. Alright. So do you like the taste of Red Bull?
Yes.
Compared to Coca-Cola? No. Do you prefer Coca-Cola?
Yes.
Now, why don't you now try Monster? So you've tasted Red Bull. Now let's try Monster. So we only have one can. Actually, the previous class did not finish this. So if you like, you can have more than one can. But we only have 2 cans for this class. Be careful, this one is carbonated, so do not shake it. Be careful.
Does it work? Work.
Can we borrow some tissue, please? Because this will become sticky.
Siya, very sticky. Ito. Magsigo. Okay. Spell. Yes. Paper eggs. Ay, na.
I don't have tissue. Thank you. So has everyone gotten a taste of Monster? How does it compare to Red Bull? You like it better? You like it better because it's more like a soft drink.
Yes.
Okay. Is it sweeter than Red Bull? So let's look at the can. The can says 230 calories. So more than double Red Bull. Meaning you have to run for almost 2 hours to exercise the whole can. Right? Now if we look at the total carbohydrates, this says 21%.
Yeah.
In other words, if you drink this, the whole thing, then that's already 1/5 of the amount of carbs that you're allowed. Sodium is 16%. What's 1/5 the salt that you're adding? I mean, you guys don't look at this deficient information. Well, okay, you're too young to worry about your weight. So overall, if I were to ask you, what do you prefer? Monster, or Red Bull? Monster. Okay, we have Red Bull here. We have Monster here. None of the above. Why? You don't like. Why don't you like?
Strong.
It's too strong.
Unconscious.
Ah, we have someone who's not. No problem. Now, the case also states that there are many smaller players who are in niche markets, and one of these is Cobra, Philippine market. So again, pick one.
Lalagay ng flavor. Pag puli-puli lang tabi.
That one is a little bit misleading because if you look at the calories, how many calories does it have? It's too small for my eyes. Sorry? 90. But how many servings per container? Correct. 1.5. Meaning you need to multiply the 90 by 1.5. If you drink the whole thing. So some of this, if you look, they have marketing speak here, immunoplat, vitamin D, zinc. So you can actually see that's where you can see the result of the pest analysis, right? Where you're catering towards customers who are health conscious. But this is not to say that this is essentially not healthy, because how much sugar is in this thing? I cannot read. It's like size 6 font. You did finish it? Okay. Okay, so you have tasted Red Bull, Monster, and the local Cobra. What do you prefer? What's your favorite? Cobra, Monster. Okay, so it looks like you now sort of understand why there are local brands that dominate in only specific areas. Why? Because they tailor fit to the customer preference, right? So they can only succeed in that area because you are tailor fitting to what they want, and you cannot appeal to a larger market, right? Monster, of course, is trying to appeal to a larger market by making carbonated drinks, right? Making it like a soft drink. Whereas Red Bull is doing its own thing, right? So we are now ready to do 5, 4, 6 times. Now the way we're going to do this is you're not going to immediately say strong, weak, strong, weak. Okay, you're not going to say that. What you're going to do is you're going to give me supporting details from the case and tell me whether that's or weekend sellers. Okay, so you're going to pick one of these five, and then you're going to give me a supporting information, and then tell me if it's strengthening or weakening the books. Who wants to start? One, okay.
Agrando, sir. Threat of new entrants, factor that strengthen. Alternative beverages have premium pricing, and so it attracts
Yeah. Because you know you make a lot of money, right? So that's a strengthening. Okay, who else? Yes.
There is a large pool of entry candidates, as stated in the case, where beverage segments would attract additional entrants. So this strengthens the threat of potential.
But are these entry candidates, do they have the resources to be make an income?
Considerable.
Do they? Does the case say anything about that?
A few packaging supplies needed for production are readily available.
That's not it. That says fire. So I'm not sure about the bunch pool of entry candidates. So I'm not sure if that's. Who else want to contribute? One, and then yes.
so brand loyalty and established distribution networks or weekends, entrance. Weekends opportunity for me to do.
Rami? Okay, so you're saying that you have the
Brand loyalty and established distribution networks.
established distribution works, which or accounts, right? Which weekends. Okay, and then you.
Good answer. Threat of new entrants. Although high profit margins, 10.3% in 2022 is good for makes good opportunities for entrants, although strong dominant players such as Red Bull and Monster already have large market share, 8.5 and 13.1% respectively. So it weakens the entrants.
We can split that into two. The first part is correct. You have high profit margin, which attracts. But you have also what you want to say is entrenched incumbents, which weakens. And that's actually two different kinds. Yeah, anyone else? Yes, one.
The alternative beverages industry is projected to reach $284 billion by
What's
that's threat of new entrants that gentlemen.
the name? Which strengthens, right? Okay, and then who was over here? Name?
Despite the projected growth in revenue, but it was mentioned in the case that there is a slow growth in the energy drink market, so that weakens the revenue.
Slow growth in 22, but for 2027.
Please.
2.9 is not that. We don't have to stay with them. We can go everywhere. Yes.
it's Sarah's bargaining power of suppliers. One factor that gets the bargaining power of suppliers is that most packaging supplies needed for their production and readily available for the large number of suppliers.
Then I saw a hand here. Let's go here.
Bargaining power
Yes.
Bargaining power of suppliers. Unique supplements like curry, we have users. We have users.
Yours. Strengthening. Okay, and then raise your hand.
There's some substitutes to do that. Some game sales were important to all types of food stores. Some made up a high percentage of sources.
Large percentage of substance. Strengthening. Okay. Justify. You're not wrong, but we need to justify.
Because since soft drinks are more available than important.
Okay, so identify should say something else. So, one thing about random substance, very important. You need to consider who are my substitutes. So, who am I right now? I am energy users. So, who are my substitutes? Actually, my substitute is all drinks, right? Including water, including Coke, including Gatorade, including Coca-Cola, Pepsi. These are substitutes. They're not direct competitors, but they are substitutes because if you drink a lot of water, you still have space in your stomach to drink that. No, so it's competing for the same stomach space. Right? So keep that in mind when you are analyzing your company. Who are my substitutes? And then, of course, you need to define that and then proceed accordingly. So I saw two hands here.
For random substitutes, and by random substitutes, we have consumers have many alternatives like they can choose coffee, tea, soft drinks, or functional waters. So this can limit the attractiveness of the industry.
So is this a strengthening or weakening? No, because this is random substitute. So this strengthens the substitutes, right?
Additionally, sir, actually, top consumers are shifting towards vitamin-rich beverages and low-sugar drinks, so reducing the demand for traditional energy drinks, which strengthens the substitute here.
Not necessarily, because the energy drinks themselves, as you can see, are putting in vitamins. In fact, that differentiates that from Coca-Cola and something. Right? So let me rephrase that for you. So you're going to say that vitamin enhanced drinks are in demand, right? Which actually is a weakening. Because that's the competitive edge that the energy drinks have over water, over coffee, over the others. So I saw hand here.
They don't have bargaining power of customers. Convenience stores are aggressive in pressing alternative beverage producers and food distributors for low prices and flooding fees, and this strengthens the bargaining power of buyers.
Low prices is not. You know what slotting fees are? It means that you need to pay a display. That's what we call it here. It's for me to put your prices, you pay a receipt. One time, but one cents. And you usually have no choice if you want your product to be sold. You need to pay this slotting fee, right? Someone here was raising their hands. Hey,
Since they are right.
right? Okay.
So Monster Energy Drink has entered strategic partnership with Coca-Cola Company, which expanded their distribution.
Okay, so the thing is, when you do a 5 versus analysis, one of the common mistakes is that people are thinking of one company here. Right? That's a major mistake. Even I sometimes forget. When you do 5 courses, you have to consider this from the viewpoint of the entire industry. So you're making specifics here. You can generalize. You can say there is industry consolidation. So we can say there's industry consolidation and finance, right? With Monster and Mexico. Monster, which strengthens weakness. Strength makes it harder. Now I saw hands here.
Allowance,
Okay.
bargaining power.
Yes.
Since the bargaining power of customers is relevant, since they can switch brands or switch to substitutes with no penalty or cost.
What else did you? So another thing before we continue is you need to also consider who are the customers. Now, if you think in the marketing sense, the customer is of course the people drinking my product, right? Naturally, but that's the final customer. That's not your customer. Who do you sell it to? They sell this to retailers, distributors, and the case tells that 65% comes from convenience stores like 7-Eleven, right? So what does that tell you? It tells you that one customer is responsible for majority of your sales. If that happens, who has the bargaining power, you or the customer? So, although if you think that the customer is the people drinking the drink, this is only true if you sell direct. Like if there's a Red Bull store and then they sell Red Bull products. You see that? No, right? There's no Red Bull store selling Red Bull products. Is there an Apple store selling Apple products? Yes, but there is no Red Bull store selling Red Bull products. There is no Coca-Cola store selling Coca-Cola products. There's no Coca-Cola. There's no Gatorade store. It's really not through a distributor. So you have to look at, when you research your industries, doing 5 courses, you need to look at who are my customers. Are they the final consumer, or are they the people who's actually buying? So in this case, when you think about customers for this industry, the customers are the distributor. Right? So let's continue. I see hands. First here and then here. Okay?
For secondized industry priority, companies compete aggressively with product innovations, sponsorships, and marketing campaigns.
Companies compete aggressively on marketing, levels, sponsorships,
Product innovation.
and strengthening or strengths. Okay? You wanted to say something. That's it. Yeah. You're done. Okay, so I have here.
Alvarado, sir. That of brands. Most convenience stores, which accounted for 65.5% of the sales, carry only 2 to 4 brands, making it less attractive to new entrants.
Okay, so limited shelf spaces. We can eat, sure.
We can.
Okay. Who else? Yes.
Pinuno, sir, rivalry among existing competitors. High fixed costs for warehouses, trucks, handheld inventory tracking devices, and labor.
So there's basically a high degree of fixed costs.
Which strengthens rivalry.
balance, and at the same time, it weakens threat units. In fact, if you look at 5 forces, Michael Porter, who made this, actually just stole everything from economics. Why? Economics and supply and demand, right? Is there a supply and demand there here? Yes, you have suppliers and cost. And then, of course, economics is all about competition. Is there competition here? Yes. In economics, you learn about substitutes. Is there substitutes here? And then in economics, you learn about barriers to entry. Is there an entry here? Yes. This is just economics, repackaged into strength. So, when you look at fundamentals, a lot of that is just coming from barriers to entry. What are barriers to entry? These are things that make it hard for us to enter. And this includes existing brand loyalty and distribution networks, right? This is what you call incumbency advantages. This means that the incumbent has an advantage because they already have suppliers, they already have retailers, they already have the branding, they, fixed cost high, so they already have the keys. So a lot of your strategy entrance is just essentially your barriers to entry. Another barrier to entry might be government regulation, but in this case, there's no regulation, right? So just keep it in mind that when you're doing 5 forces, what you're actually doing is economics. So anyone else? Yes, this.
Our brand was bargaining power of customers. Alternative beverages competed on the basis of differentiation, making it weakens the brand.
So can we just say that there is brand loyalty, which slightly weakens, not strongly weakens, slightly weakens. Yes.
For Aguilera's and for existing rivalry, industries slowing growth rate further intensifies competition and these companies will have to fight for a larger share to get slow.
Okay, this is correct for those because you have to consider what products are considered mature. Do you remember your PLC?
Yes.
So you have your initial introduction, then it's growth, and then there's maturity phase, and then there's decline, right? Right now, soft drinks are in maturity and or decline, right? Depending on that. Energy drinks is still, I think, growing, but it is possible that in the future it will already mature, right? So it's typified by that slowing growth rate, which will in fact. Anyone else? Yes, maybe.
They will lose existing rivalry. Competitors are not equal in size and power since it's only concentrated on a few leading brands with other regional brands and this may weaken rivalry.
Regional. Which we get right. Okay. So I think we have essentially covered what we want to cover here. So let's look at revenue. You have here a bunch of factors that strengthen and then a bunch of factors that weaken. So question for you, which one is more powerful? It's not just new numbers count, but you have to consider the impact as well. Things that strengthen, premium pricing and high profit margin. Things that weaken, brand loyalty, entrenched incumbents, slow growth, and limited choice. Which one is strong? The strengthen the weaken. So since you say that the weaken is stronger, how would you evaluate the threat of it? Yes, I will evaluate this. Now, Let's look at substitutes. Here, there's a lot of substitutes, right? They are cheaper. Some of them are cheaper. We did say that, but it is noted that the substitutes are more readily available according to the barrel, and then they are cheaper. And then customers are more familiar with the substitutes than they are with energy drinks. This is a bit weakened by the fact that your energy drinks have vitamins in them, which is demanded by customers. But is that enough? So how would you characterize the premise? Now let's look at bargaining power. And we have here, packaging is weaker, right? It's weakened, but you have unique additives. So question to you. Is this strong? Sorry, actually what you can do is you can say, it depends. It depends on what? On who the supplier is. If the supplier is those selling like water, sugar, then they're weak, right? Low power. If the supplier is providing like taurine, all the supplements that are like copyrighted or which are patented, then you can say that they have moderate market, right? So actually this can be moderate or low. Okay. So don't forget, for bargaining power of both the supplier and customer, you can actually qualify. You can say it depends. It's weak for this type of customer or supplier. It is strong for this type of customer. Okay. Let's go to bargaining power customers. On one hand, you have here, convenience stores are responsible for a large majority, almost 2/3 of your sales, and they are in fact demanding lower prices and saving fees. And we also know from threat of substitutes that we know from threat of inventions, according to Alvarado, there's limited shelf space, right? Many stores only carry a few brands. So we can actually put that there under bargaining power customers. They carry a few brands, which is a strengthening factor because I only have limited space for the product, so the product had to fight very hard for me to put that there. So because of that, do you think that the bargaining power of customers is weak or strong? It's actually high. And then finally, right, take a look at the combined effects of all. Definitely. Which one do you think is that? Probably the highest forces are actually substitutes. The strongest forces are probably substitutes and rivalry, right? With also customer bargaining power fairly strong. But at the end of the day, can we make money? Is this an attractive? Give me evidence that you say this is an attractive. The best way is just to tell me the profit part. Oh, right? So, overall, this is an okay industry. So now the question comes, how would it evolve? Which of these forces do you think is going to become strong? Rivalry is going to be stronger because the case already tells you that there is industry consolidation, right? Coca-Cola and Pepsi are rich enough to buy outright. So in the future, they can continue to consolidate the industry. So likely your rivalry is going to become tough. How about your customers? No, I mean bargaining power customers. Your customers here or your retailer? Probably it's not going to change that. right? Bargaining power customer not going to change. How about bargaining power supply? I don't see a change either. How about revenue subsidy? I think it's going to increase. Along with the rivalry, it's going to increase. Because there's going to be more subsidy that's going to be invented. So how about revenue? It's still probably going to remain, especially as the industry matures and it becomes harder to find profits. Then probably revenue entrance is going to weaken over time, right? So this is our prediction. Will likely strengthen over time. Then customer buying power is very strong. Will likely remain strong. So, very quickly, what do you think are the industry change? What do you think is going to cause things to change based on your best advice? Okay, honey. Right?
The slow movements,
What do you mean by slow?
like in other markets, what will happen is that competition will intensify because market the industry players will now try to get market share from the other.
Okay, but is growth necessarily slow? The case tells us that it's going to be 2.9%, but 5.1%. So I think it's more than just slow growth. It's actually evolving demographics and geography will likely change the long term way. Right? Yes.
Shift of consumer.
Which is actually reflected. It's actually reflected in the earlier section. It's evolving them. Yes, you have. Anyone else? Yes.
The consolidation and partnership.
You are going to
The consolidation and partnership.
So likely the industry will consolidate. And peace. Bravo. Anyone else? Yes, okay.
Improving logistics and distribution systems expands the industry reach and scale.
Right now, your distribution channel, you are dependent. So you cannot do anything about that unless you open your own stores. You see them opening those. They cannot say, hey, 7-Eleven, sell more of my product. Right? You have to look at what you can and can. Okay? Yes.
Health risks surrounding the consumption of energy drinks and energy.
So why would that change?
This may affect some regulations for manufacturers.
Health risks may affect regulation. Then the regulation, of course, is a big driver. Change. Yes.
Well, sir. Also, sir, environmental risks may affect regulation and the packaging, the way the companies packaging.
So environmental regulation may affect, but that is a minor thing. It's not a major thing. Next.
There, the push for innovation would change how the market and how companies will differentiate
So innovation.
And then how we combine it with the
It's not innovation, it's more on consumer preferences. Right? Not innovation itself, but customers. And that is actually already captured by the first one, or the evolving demographics slide. Okay? So I think this is fairly okay, right? Because on my notes, I have just three things. I have the change in the long-term growth rate, which is caused by demography and geographic changes, more focused on Asia. And then the second one is the industry consolidation, which is mentioned by Diana. And then the third one is continual product innovation. Would still be a factor, right? So, in order for us to succeed in this industry, what do we need to have? What are the key successes?
product innovation
Okay, I mean,
and brand closer product.
so product innovation, very important because we need to continually innovate to make things that taste good, right?
Strong brand image and
Make things. Okay, so brand image and market. You raise
Patient distribution system.
So it's not efficient distribution system. It's more like that's access to distribution because you don't control. You don't have control. Now, if you have control, yes, but here we are dependent on the appearance. So you don't have control. I saw a hand here and then beside you. So I don't remember who it was. Nobody wants to.
Adinola, sir, market share,
Share with you.
large market share.
You're kind of like saying, in order for me to succeed, I need a large market share. But the thing is, a large market share is measuring something. So you're kind of like saying the output should be my input. So kind of like
Large volume production.
okay, so you're saying economies of scale, essentially, which we're going to talk about in a minute.
Global expansion.
What would you consider global expansion as? Business.
Since if they can penetrate into, like, for example, we have here data in Asia Pacific, it's really that people there are more eager to like penetrate. Companies can actually buy their products. They can generate towards it.
Okay, but I'm going to make the argument that actually you're talking about distribution here because I don't have to open my store. I just have to sell my product in many stores. And for that, I just need access to distribution, right? I don't need to. Yes.
and brand closer combine deliveries and responsive customers.
So you're going to make you're going to make a strong argument about that. But I think we have enough here to say what are the key success factors that you need to have in order to succeed. Most important, of course, is your access to distribution because limited shelf space is one of the biggest constraints. And then you also, of course, need your innovation. You need your brand image and your marketing, and then you also need your economies of scale, not just for production, but also for marketing. Because the more products that have, the more effective my communication is with getting your brand. We don't have enough time to do the recommendations, but I think generally you would tell me that Coke would probably need to challenge Pepsi more than innovate more, right? And then you're probably going to tell me that Pepsi needs to market more and push more of their products like Celsius. And then probably you're going to tell me that Red Bull Red Bull does not need to do anything, just do what you're doing. Yeah, because you're the market leader. And of course, that's fine because, as I told you, market leaders worry. There's really only one recommendation, which is just status quo. Just do what you're doing. You're ahead. So that concludes our case analysis. I hope that you get a bit of insight on how I would like you guys to perform your meaning you build your argument, the extent that we get, and then you give me an overall assessment about strengths and weaknesses, and then you give me combine all of them, tell me whether the industry is still profitable or. So let me tell you. Okay, so I'm awarding 2 UP bucks to Guillermo. One UP buck to Lawa. Three UP buck to Pinolo. One UP buck to Fortuna and Galliano, 2 UP bucks. And then finally, 1 UP buck to see you next time. Thank you and have a good one. So have a good night. You have drunk how many times?